What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing on a Monday? It's Monday? No, it's Tuesday. Oh my goodness. Why did I think it was Monday, y'all? It's Tuesday. Oh wow. It's what it was. It was because I was out late last night doing young people things, and I'm not a young people anymore. We did trivia last night with these friends of ours that we used to do trivia with, but they started having babies, so they had to take a step back. But we went out for trivia last night. We played two games. We did win one of them, first place. That's what's up. But yeah, I just realized that's why I'm tired. But it is Tuesday, and this is United versus Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and I swear I know what day it is. But welcome back. We are here for a Man United news roundup. Not a ton of different things to talk about, but there's a lot to unpack in the things that we are talking about today. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts on all of it. We're going to talk a little bit about some January possibilities in terms of incomings and outgoings. So we got a little bit of update from a couple outlets there. Talk a little bit about just what's going on in some of the transfer news. We've got some strikers that we've been linked with, some attackers we've been linked with. Whether or not the links are credible or not, we'll let you guys decide. But we're going to talk about that. And we are going to talk about the Cristiano Ronaldo, Piers Morgan wank off because we have to, because I'm a little annoyed by the ego massaging that's going on, but we're going to talk about that because I've got thoughts. We've talked about it in the past, but we're going to talk about it again. So that's what we're getting into today, you guys. The under 21s do kick off in about an hour. It's against Notts County, not on MUTV, of course. So there's that, but it is what it is. Just make sure you like the video. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. Please check those memberships as well. That's the best way to get more involved in the content we put out. If you don't want to commit to memberships, not a big deal. Everybody, is in their own spot. It is what it is. But you do want to support the channel. Tons of ways to do that. You can go check out the United vs. Everybody store as well. There's a link in the main page and in the video description. Or always feel free to gift memberships to your fellow UVE community members as well. All sorts of fun ways to get more involved. The channel really is your guys's. I'm just here to throw out the topic. So I try to get you guys involved as much as we can. So let's get stuck in, you guys, starting with a big congratulations to David Beckham, or should I say Sir David Beckham now. He was knighted in Windsor. Now he has gotten that as well. That's what, 4 United individuals that have been knighted, right, have received that honor. We've got Sir Alex, Sir Bobby, Marcus Rashford as well, and now we've got Sir David Beckham. And so I know there's a lot of kind of interesting, I guess, discourse to be involved with the whole, Tories, and I don't get involved. Obviously, I'm not English, so I don't have any skin in that game. So I know, but some people, are not too excited about things like this. But he is one of ours. He will always be one of ours. So congratulations, Sir David Beckham. Moving on. Speaking of the under 21s, I know we spoke about that a hot second ago, but Sekou Kone is back in full training now, I guess. United aren't quite ready to throw him right back into the mix quite yet. He's still recovering. You guys remember what, month and a half or so ago, got an eye socket fracture defending a corner. Someone got elbowed in the eye, taken off on a stretcher. It was like a 20-minute delay, if you guys remember that. But he's been recovering. I don't know if he'll be wearing a mask or not, but we'll see. Rich Fay claims that he could feature against Solihull Moors later this month, so we'll see what happens. Travis Binion, the under-21s coach, says that Kone could be good to go after the international break. So for those of you who have been gassing up Kone, you guys know we love the academy here on the channel. We've done a couple academy watch-alongs. We do it alone watch pretty much every other week or so, just to give a recap on some of these youngsters out on loan, what they're up to these days. So, but yeah, Sekou Kone could be back in the under-21s action after the international break. Who's involved in the chat? I didn't even check the chat yet. Sanjay, big up, our Globetrotter. Sanjay's in the house. Hope you're doing well, my friend. He's got some thoughts. Yeah, we're going to talk about some exits as well. Just kind of recapping some of the odds and ends here. Big up, Jarvis. Jarvis, there's a lot of chat going on here. What I don't hear is you going and hitting that crossbar, buddy. So, joking. If you guys are not familiar, I did do a crossbar challenge last week. Threw that out to Jarvis, Stu over at Tactical Devils. Threw it over to Rich and Jules over at Red Devils United. So far, Jules has tagged me and posted his response. He has, whipped out that crossbar. His was a very windy day, so fair play to him. When I did it, it was not super, super windy, but yeah, it's 25 yards out crossbar challenge. Just something fun to do, but I never look at the other channels. And I hope, and I mean, maybe I'm alone. I hope not. I don't look at people as competition, not because I'm arrogant, because I look at it as a community, and I like to just have fun and just enjoy each other's input and opinions and company and everything. So I'm always happy just to get more involved, man. You guys know I don't take things too seriously. I'm pretty chill, but yeah, big up Jarvis. Hope you're doing well, my friend. As if I snow. Hi, Sean. Been a while since I joined the stream. Looking forward to a good discussion today. Well, welcome back. You forgive me if I don't automatically recognize everyone's name. YouTube has taken away your nicknames, and now they're just put the ats on there. So if your at isn't anything similar to your name, I might not automatically recognize it, unfortunately. And so just want to let everybody know that. So let's talk about some of the latest news with transfers, because I think we can all agree, let me get this off of here, that strengthening in January is a must for United, especially with the World Cup coming up and the AFCON coming up as well. And not the World Cup, yeah. The AFCON and with the FA Cup. We've got a couple more competitions. We might be losing some players like Mazraoui, Mbumo, Ahmad. They could be at the AFCON from mid-December to mid-January if Cameroon, Ivory Coast, and Morocco go through. And Ineos seem to agree as well. I think that they don't have a problem strengthening in January. They brought in Patrick Dorgu last year, albeit the final day of the window. But according to Fabrizio Romano, you can see here on the screen, we might be in for some new additions to the squad when the winter window rolls around, as well as some exits. He said in private, the conversations have started between Amorim and the board for January transfer window and the opportunities and what to do with the players who want more playing time. So basically, we're already planning ahead, which I like. I like that we're planning ahead. I like that we're being proactive. I would like us to just be a little bit, I think, more aggressive with that proactive. I think I'd like us just to move a little quicker. I know Ineos have this whole thing of not wanting to run to the wrong decision, but I think that conveniently leaving out that you can also run to the right decision. If something's right, it's available and it's doable, get it done quickly. I said going into the summer and even in January, we have to get our business done early. Waiting till the literally deadline day, the January, or the final weekend of the January transfer window to get Dorgu was just, that to me screamed like Glazernomics. Let's save as much as we can on wages by getting him in the last day. We'll save on 4 weeks of wages. That to me, very, very frustrating. It doesn't put Amorim in the ideal situation. And it doesn't, like, even in the summer, how long did it take to get some of these players in? And you've seen that, like, sequentially, the players who are getting in later and later are like a little bit behind in getting acclimated. Cunha hit the ground running. We signed him June because it was an earlier transfer window. Mbumo took a little bit. Shesko even later took a little bit. Lamens didn't even get a start until well, and that's what I mean. If you've got a manager who's hesitant to throw people right into the mix, get those players in sooner, because we're just delaying it more and more and more. And it only hurts us in the long run. Who knows where we could have been had we gotten our business done before all the preseason nonsense and had all these guys in play, like Lamens especially. No one can convince me we wouldn't have more points right now had Lamens been starting from day one in the league. If you look at some of the goals we've conceded and the manner in which we conceded those goals. Now, we don't help him with our shit show defending on these set pieces and whatnot, but just imagine some of the goals that Binder conceded and things. And like, you want to really piss yourself off. Imagine what Lamens had been here last year, the year before, Champions League, for instance. We don't want to go there, but Devasi, welcome back. Says, I think Manu gets perma exit later on. Yes, I did do a poll as we're going to talk about January exits because a couple players were name dropped. So get involved with one of them in particular, is a player who obviously has been discussed a lot as we've talked about, just starting 11s and rotation and whatnot. This season, it's Kabi Manu. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but in terms of additions in January, it's notoriously a difficult market to, unless you're Man City, apparently, who bought 4 players last January and then like 5 more in the summer, including 2 first-team keepers. They just don't care, do they? They're just giving middle fingers to everybody. But yeah, we know. I mean, do we really care about that? But for us, it's not a window that we typically are super active in. I think it was Dorgu, and then before Dorgu, it was Bruno, I think, right? And you can argue in between, we had those emergency loan moves for Sabitzer and Weghorst. But again, those were emergencies because Both Christian Eriksen and Donny van de Beek got long-term injuries. Cristiano Ronaldo, who we'll talk about in a little bit, had a little temper tantrum with Piers Morgan, who I fully believe Piers Morgan, whenever Cristiano walks in the room, Piers Morgan just drops to his knees and pulls his ponytail behind his head because the guy just lives to wank off Cristiano Ronaldo these days, but it is what it is. Sorry, Jarvis, if you're walking the kids and they heard that. My bad, buddy. But I think that's it's Ineos. That was prior to Ineos, but so we haven't done a bunch of business in January, and it's just notoriously hard. I think before Bruno, what was it, like Juan Mata? I think that was it, and then maybe before that, I think all the way back to like the Nemanja Vidic, maybe. So it's, dude, tacos are the best, man. What kind of tacos do you use? Beef? Do you use pork, chicken? I like fish tacos a lot. I'll put shrimp. I'll put fish. I use a lot of different things for tacos. I have no problem. I love putting like sliced avocado on there and everything. Sometimes if I want to be super healthy, I keep microgreens in the fridge. So sometimes I'll snip a couple microgreens and kind of sprinkle them on top too to get a little bit more nutrition. For the kids, especially if they're not health food nuts, you can sprinkle a little bit in there and hide it, and you still get that added crunch, man. But I do love tacos. I love them. Fish tacos are some of my favorite thing in the world. So it's just squeeze a little lime juice on there and stuff. I love it. It's so refreshing, but it's so good. But as far as incomings go, who do you think we could realistically bring in January? Now, I did a video a couple weeks ago with January targets for United. Now, a lot of that criteria for those videos, and again, I try to be realistic. I'm not like some kid out here playing, ultimate team who's just going to get the best players ever and just go for that. I try to live in reality. And so a lot of the criteria for this is like where these players, clubs, like where are they at in the table? Like I had a Wolves player on my list because Wolves are shit this season. They can be gettable, especially if they anticipate possible relegation. Getting a little bit of influx of cash from selling a player does help. They do get parachute payments because it is what it is, but things like that, off season for some leagues, like Norway or like some of the South American leagues, they have an off season. So even MLS, for instance, I had an MLS player on that list as well. I know some of you don't rate it, but some of these players in the MLS now, the MLS is not necessarily just their retirement league. Now, yes, it's not a great league, but there are players that use the MLS as a springboard for other leagues. And so keep that in mind. And things like that. So let's see. Debasi thinks Gueye is realistic. Is he, though? I think he's got his heart set on Liverpool. I think Konate is probably out the door. Joe Gomez. Liverpool are not deep at center back. And so, you lose Konate, you're bringing in Joe Gomez. And Joe Gomez, he had like one half decent season probably, 6-7 years ago. Since then, he's not been great. Van Dijk is just old, and he's just out here twerking like a thought left and right trying to defend. I just don't see. They need help defensively. Maybe they could ask Arsenal to borrow one of the 100 center backs they've signed in recent years. Arsenal got center backs playing full. Is Ben White still at Arsenal? I can't even remember now. But Gueye, I like Gueye a lot. I think if Licha couldn't stay fit, if Luke Shaw couldn't stay fit, and it didn't look like Harry Maguire wanted a pay cut, I would go all out for Gueye and just add him into that mix in the back three. And I think you've got a solid back three. There are a lot of defenders out there who could be due. Sanjay says a loan deal for Gallagher. I did do a deep dive on Conor Gallagher last week. If you guys want to go check it out. Again, just like the Angelo Stiller one I did yesterday, just closer look, deep dive, what profile, what kind of player are they, what are they good at, what are their weaknesses, heat maps, percentiles, how those percentiles compare to players that we have in that position, other players who are linked with for that position. So I did that with Conor Gallagher. I did it with Angelo Stiller. I've got another similar video coming out now on a left back, because I do think left back is becoming a priority for me. Not as much a priority as center midfielder, but I do think left back is a priority, and there is a deal I think can be done in January. So I'll do another video on that player. Look for that probably to drop either today or tomorrow. I'm going to record it when I'm done here. Those ones aren't long. They're like 12, 15 minutes tops. But I have another one. He's at a top club. I've mentioned him before. He ticks a lot of boxes for the profile of player that Ineos have been looking at: physicality, mentality, that attitude, that fight. He's rapid, like rapid. So you guys, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you might know who I'm talking about, but I'll do that one and drop that one today. But yeah, a loan deal for Gallagher has been discussed. We wanted a loan deal for Gallagher deadline day, I think it was. Atletico Madrid did not want the loan. It was either they were going to keep him or they were going to do a permanent sale. And I don't think that we were just able to do that. So, but I think Gallagher does tick a lot of boxes. The question is, is he better than who we have? And that's kind of the thing you have to look at. When you make signings, you want to improve the squad. And that's the question I asked you guys. So if you haven't yet watched that video, go back and do that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. You guys know I always check the comments out, and do the same for Angelo Stiller. Because I had fun doing that video. I really like those. So I've got another one coming out on left back soon, so keep an eye out. But who realistically can we sign? We've looked at midfielders. We seem to be linked with like 4 days. We don't know what's going on with guys like Casemiro at the end of the season yet. Technically, he's out of contract. Bruno, maybe a Saudi club will come back in for Bruno. I do think we'll get more money. So a lot of this is hinging upon what happens. Don't be surprised if we extend Casemiro's contract by a year. Don't be surprised if Bruno stays and we don't get a midfielder. Anything's possible at this point. I wouldn't write anything off. Wolves just sacked Vito Pereira, so maybe we could poach somebody from that squad in January. I think that's doable. Teams down there at the bottom, like West Ham, Forest are down there a little bit. Who else is down there at the bottom? Y'all let me know. Those teams are poachable. And last year I did a video looking at all 3 relegation facing teams, picking 2 players from each one that I think could come in and do a job for us, who would improve the squad a little bit. We'll probably do something similar this spring too, once it gets kind of more solid who's going to be relegated or not. So Devasi says Anderson did good last match. Let's buy him, except Force will be the same as Bees. Yeah, Anderson is swiftly becoming the one that I'm ready to break the bank for, because I think that you get him, and it's kind. You guys remember when we signed Wan-Bissaka that first season? We paid a little bit more than we probably should have, right? But I think when we signed him and just watching the way he defended, I never worried about him. It was not until like the last several years that he was here that he was starting to like kind of wane a little bit. But I wasn't worried. You know, he handled Raheem Sterling. I think Raheem Sterling is still in Wan-Bissaka's pocket and stuff. Sterling was just afraid of him. But if we had Anderson, that's kind of how I would feel about the midfield battle. I would feel 100 times better about these physical midfield battles, even in this double pivot system that Amorim uses, if we had someone like Anderson. Covers that ground, no fear, gets involved. He's actually very press resistant. He's really good just driving that ball forward. He's not going to be this elite playmaking, line breaking passer like a Bruno is, or like a Stiller maybe, but I think with someone next to him like that, like a Bruno, like a Stiller, I think Anderson is a very good complementary partner to. Jarvis says Bruno's going to stay, but we need a bigger squad anyway. If we qualify for Europe next season, 2 midfielders. Yeah, we've needed 2 midfielders for a while. And you guys know me. I'm all about raising the floor of the squad. We need to like get the overall quality of the squad improved, which does involve removing players, and it does involve, yes, some players. And that's the beauty. Some players are not going to be guaranteed starting 11, but it's, again, I'm a firm believer that the players pick the team. You know, what you're doing in training, what you're showing in the match, your attitude, your mentality, that does give Amorim something to think about, a decision to make. And Amorim agrees. This is the reason he was dropping guys like Garnacho and Rashford, because their minds just weren't in it. And I think that's academic at this point, especially when it comes to Rashford and Garnacho. Like, it was not their priority necessarily. And we're going to talk a little bit about them in a little bit as well, because I kind of lumped them in a little bit with the Cristiano Ronaldo situation that we're going to talk about. But according to Fabrizio Romano, Amorim is not looking for stopgaps either. No more of the Weghorst, no more of Sabitzer, no more of the Igalos and things like that. You guys remember Odi and Igalo? I always forget who he scored that worldie against him. It was Europa League, right? It was super cold. I don't think there was anybody in the grounds. He gets the ball. It's a couple little touches. He turns and just puts it in the back of the net. Someone remind me who that was. I think it was it Lask, I want to say? I don't remember now off the top of my head. But those are not the signings that we're looking for. However, I will say I do count myself fortunate that I was at Old Trafford to see about Weghorst's goal, albeit Europa League, but he did score against Real Betis when Justin and I were there. So I'll take that one with me. I'll put that on my tombstone. I saw Wout Weghorst score a goal at Old Trafford. But if we're not looking for stopgap signings and we are looking to do business in January, January could get spendy. Now, the problem is, where do you stand on this? Let me pose this question to you. If you can't get first choice in January, what do you do? Because I don't want to waste money on someone if they're not who we really want. Because then you won't have money to get who you really want. And so I don't want to sit here and say like, well, we want Anderson, we can't get Anderson, so let's just throw 50 million at Conor Gallagher, and then in the summer we don't get Anderson. I'm not trying to bash it. I'm just using it as an example, right? Like, I don't want us to do that. That's what gets you into trouble. Say everything you want about Liverpool when they first started this rebuild, but they were very careful and very patient, and they were really in it for the slow burn. Like, they played the long game. They didn't just waste money. They were happy to wait until they got their top targets. And we don't have a ton of money. We keep extending this line of credit and stuff. We're kind of in a situation, a PSR shit show. We can't just do that kind of stuff. A loan for Conor Gallagher, fine, but I'd rather have Anderson. Yeah, I think it was last. Big up, Rich in the house, doing well, man. Hope you're doing well. Evening for you, yeah. It's about 1:30 for me. Bright and sunny day. I've been running errands. Had to winterize the boat today, which is sad. I only went fishing once this summer because my dog had that ACL surgery. So, and my wife can't carry her because she's 65 pounds. So wasn't able to get out and do much. But it's just a sad day having to put the boat in the garage and winterize it and stuff, knowing that I'm not going to do anything with it until the summer. So yeah, Sanjay, I do agree that Dallas should be dropped. You're never going to see Bruno get dropped, though. So it is what it is. Rich agrees, doesn't mind loan deals, but doesn't want any third choice. Yeah. And that's where I'm at. It's not just, for me, it's not just like I don't want third choice. It's that we've got a finite amount of money. I don't want to waste it. I'd rather be patient if that's the case. But again, if we're going to get midfielders, I got like something itchy in my nose. And January, it could get spendy. January is never a cheap thing. I mean, we saw this before. If you guys remember, that January window ahead of I want to say it was ahead of the 2014 World Cup. Do you guys remember when people were spending a little bit more in January in anticipation of the World Cup? The World Cup grinds things to a halt in the summer transfer window, if you guys remember. Nobody wants to do any business. Nobody's even entertaining discussions until after the World Cup. This is when Arsenal got Aubameyang in January from Dortmund. Big signing at the time. World Cup in the summer. We don't want it. We want to get out ahead of that. So maybe that's playing into it as well. Maybe we don't want to have to sit here when I don't have a problem with that. I'm not expecting big money spent in the summer. If we do, I would be more surprised if we did. And I do think if we got a midfielder, then we're probably going to see some exits in that position, i.e. Kabi Menu or Joshua Zirkzee even. I don't think we can afford to lose Zirkzee with AFCON because Mbeumo is going to be gone. Ahmad's going to be gone. We're going to need help, especially on that right-hand side because some people are like, well, Mazraoui's going to be gone too. We're going to be literally stuck with Dorgu and Dallo for AFCON in our wingbacks. So we do need something in the January window, I think, as far as wingbacks are concerned. I've read today that Shea Lacey is kind of secretly being fast-tracked into contention for some first team minutes. He could definitely do a job kind of as an understudy for Mbeumo as a rotation option, maybe rotating with Mount or something. Maybe we could see Bruno pushed up to the 10 a little bit. Maybe we could see a false 9. I don't know, but we're going to be missing 3 of our key players come AFCON, and I'm not happy about that. But yeah, if we get a center midfielder, does that mean Kabi's gone? I don't know. Is there a future for Kabi Menu at this club? I've asked this a couple times now. We talk about midfielders. We're talking about Anderson. We're talking about Stiller. We're talking about Conor Gallagher. If Bruno leaves, if Casemiro runs out his contract, okay, cool. But no one's mentioning Kabi Menu in that discussion in terms of replacing Bruno, stepping up. And I asked you guys a couple times, why do you think that is? Is it just because we don't think Amorim likes him? Is it because we don't think he's good enough? Do we not think he's ready? Is he too focused on World Cup minutes for England and not focused enough on his development, his individual development at United? Is that telling? I couldn't tell you. I've read some people claim that maybe United's coaches don't think he's quick enough, strong enough. I don't know. I really don't know. Just again, there's more questions than answers as far as that goes. But we could see Manu leave. I think if we get a midfielder in January, I think that that's pretty much going to tell us everything we need to know. And if Manu wants to leave because he's not getting minutes and he cares more about the World Cup, I think that that's telling as well. Does Manu deserve a start over Bruno? Does he deserve a start over Casemiro, especially given, the form of both players recently? I mean, Bruno had an assist, Casemiro got another goal. Casemiro is honestly in the form of his life right now for us. No midfielder in the Premier League has more goals than he does this season already. He's got 3 goals, 1 assist, I believe. The guy's an absolute boss. But apparently, he's too old. But like Declan Rice, no no goals either. So it's interesting stuff. Xerxes is another one who could leave. And I saw Romano claim that West Ham and Roma are maybe looking at Xerxes. Don't know how you guys feel about that. We saw Napoli linked with him in the summer, maybe return to Italy. Would you want him to leave without bringing in a replacement, or do you think that we're fine if Xerxes leaves? I asked you guys last week, would you let him leave if we maybe got Endrick on loan? Most of you said no, Xerxes got a place in the squad. So what does that mean? What do you guys think? If he's got a place in the squad, do you think he's happy to be rotation? He's not getting many minutes. Is that something that he's going to be happy about? At what point do you think the players are just going to push for that move? On Manu, I put that poll out here. So far, 43% of you say he's going to stay and fight for his place. 43% of you also say he'll go on loan for the second half of the season. 14% of you think he's going to leave permanently. Are you upset about that if Manu were to leave? Maybe I think for most people it's going to depend on if we get an adequate replacement or a better midfielder. But if Manu leaves, if he's not happy, if Bruno gets a Saudi offer, if Casemiro walks free, that could be 3 midfielders that were down. If Shaw, Licha, Maguire not involved because of injuries or contract, that's 3 center backs that were down. Like, this did get real very, very quickly, you guys. I don't know where you guys stand on that. I've seen a lot of people sharing. I'm going to take this off the screen for a hot second. I've seen a lot of people sharing and like retweeting and stuff this because we just talked about Endrick. All this stuff about United wanting Endrick on loan with an option to buy. Have you guys seen this? But it sounds like Madrid are not interested in any sort of options. They want to keep him. It sounds like Endrick wants to stay at Madrid, like according to Romano, but he just wants minutes. I saw that Olympique Lyon could be informed. They are happy with just a loan. They're skint, so that makes sense. We saw Lyon have some financial troubles heading into the summer. That club is an absolute shit show as well. But yeah, most of you guys say you would still keep Xerxes instead of getting someone like an Endrick or something. It is, you guys said, Xerxes got a part to play, but that part, at least according to Amorim, as he following the match, the draw with Forest, that part for Xerxes is basically Cunha. He literally said Xerxes does what Cunha does. Šeško is different, and so Xerxes is pretty much the Cunha rotation option. I don't know how Xerxes feels about that. But Romano is anyway said, there's nothing in the Endrick to United stuff, but he just wants minutes. So it's interesting. Are there anybody that you guys would bring in? Let me know in the chat. Realistic January targets. Who could be leaving? Who could we bring in? It's all. Don't say Mbappe or Haaland or something, please. Just realistically, what positions, what players? Like I said, I've got a left back that I think is gettable in January. Plays for a top club. Is fast, has mentality, has fight, has stamina, all that stuff. Who I do think, and he's experienced. He's older. He's 5 or 6 years older than Dorgu now. I'll do that video a little later on for you guys, but let me know. Bexy's in the house. Big up, Bexy. Hope you're doing well today, my friend. Says Manu is just not that deep. He doesn't suit Amorim tactics. He's a good player, but just sell him, and if he's not in Amorim's plan, same as Xerxes and Ugarte. Yeah, I mean, you can look at it, right? Some people, I know there are a lot of people who are very loyal to Manu. I know a lot of people who think he should be starting over Bruno, starting over Casemiro. I think Manu is young. Remember, he's missed, almost 40 matches through injury in the last couple seasons, which to me is not great. He missed 18 matches the last season alone, I think, just with injury. Not a good look for someone so young. I do worry about that. He was just now kind of hitting a growth spurt, just literally over the summer. He just started getting bigger, starting getting quicker. Maybe remember, you're still growing as a young player well into your early 20s, like just from a physical standpoint. And as your body continues to change, the way you play the game might change as well. You might get too big and all of a sudden, or too tall, and you're not as maybe quick anymore, because your center of gravity is off. Maybe, that's what happens when you get taller. That's why Messi can ride tackles like nobody's business, because his center of gravity is so low. His balance is like elite. Play that, and he's fucking Messi. But you get my point. Mainu's growing. He still has some work to do. He's not that playmaker. He's not that defensive powerhouse. He is a guy who very press resistant, very, very good on the ball. He can drive that. He can beat that press from deep. He can drive it up the pitch quite a ways, 10, 15 yards on his own. He's really good at link up, especially in the final third. We've seen him score some absolute worldies. That goal against Wolves, for example, was an absolute beauty. He can do that. It's just like Bexy says, where does he fit into this side? It's just a question mark right now. Bexy says if he wants to leave, just sell him. So far, I mean, we've got the rumors that he wants to leave. I think what he wants is minutes. And like I've said before, if it used to be, especially United, used to be in football, period, especially when you're a young player, that you got your head down, you worked hard, you showed up early, you stayed late, and you pushed for that spot. Now these players they just want guaranteed minutes, and just nothing's guaranteed in football. You need to work for it. And I said, I don't know how true it is, but I've always used the caveat. If that's the way Manu is thinking, then that's a concern for me. If you'd rather just have the guaranteed minutes, then that's a problem. Now, I understand if you think you're good enough. I think players do back themselves. I mean, Angel Gomez left when he was, 16, 17 or something. I get it. But I do think there's a role here for Manu. I think he has a couple things that I think he just really needs to work on. He could literally leapfrog over Ugarte, make himself third choice, and come in. He's getting minutes, Manu. He got like a half hour the other day or something, if I remember correctly, against Brighton. Has he been doing enough though with it? Is the question. Does he do enough? He started against Grimsby. Xerxes started against Grimsby. We lost that match very, very poorly. It was a very poor match. I'm not blaming them. I'm just pointing out the correlation there. Are these players doing enough with the chances that they're getting? Because that's really what it comes down to. Are you doing enough with those chances? Big up, Jim. Big up, Jimbo. How you doing, man? There's a Spanish outlet, Diario Sport. Again, I throw the outlet out there because I always make sure I want to know you guys to know where this information is coming from. They're not a great outlet, Diario Sport. They're not the most reliable. I think they're very Barca heavy. But they claim they were also, on top of that Endrick stuff, we're also looking at another attacker. You guys remember that whole era a couple of years ago? It was Marcus Leonardo. It was Endrick. And then it was Vitor Roque. You guys remember Vitor Roque? I know Danny loves this kid, if I remember correctly. Barcelona signed him. And then he went out to Real Betis on loan. Then he went to Palmeiras, and that's where he is now. So he's kind of jumped around a little bit. He's rediscovered his form since returning, started going to Palmeiras. He's got 17 goals, 5 assists this past season, so not bad. Like Xerxes, very similar profile to where Xerxes Cunha kind of play. He is kind of a striker, but he does see a lot more of that ball kind of in those half spaces outside of the box. He gets some touches inside the box as well. I could get behind the Vitor. I like Vitor Roque. I like him more than Endrick. But Diario Sport is just a shit source. So, yeah, this is what they said. United closely monitoring Vitor Roque's progress, preparing to launch a 50 million euro offer to bring him back to Europe after being impressed by his recent performances. Yeah, this is one of those rumors where you want to believe it, but then you don't, and that just makes you get mad, because I just get mad when I see stuff like that. But I do like Roque. I just don't see it happening. But I thought I'd put it out there to get your guys' thoughts. Anyone who watches any South American football, Danny B, probably working if you're in the house. Let me know your thoughts. Bexy says, once United get Anderson and Wharton, you will see their level above Manu. Although he has talent, but he needs to get in a team that suits him. Again, he's not world-class. He's just now. No, I don't think anyone's saying Manu is world-class at all. He's a young player who's barely got 2 seasons of first-team football under his belt. If combined, it's like maybe 1 season of first-team football, really. And he's been playing for 2 different managers, and so I get that. There's potential there. It's just The question is, does he get in this side? Does he get minutes elsewhere? What system would suit Manu best? I think if we played a 3-5-2, Manu could play as one of the eights, and he would be very, very good. I think he offers a lot, but that's a 3-man midfield. You drop it down to a 2-man midfield, you drop it down to double pivot, then it gets a little iffy. You're going to want players who can offer a little bit more. And right now, Casemiro and Bruno offering more than Ugarte and more than Manu. So Manu's got to show that he can offer more. And it doesn't sound like he has yet, but yeah, Anderson is excellent. I'm actually leaning a little bit more towards Stiller than Wharton. Now, I do like that Wharton has shown it in this league, but I do think if you guys watched that Stiller video put out yesterday, I do think Stiller would be very, very good. I compared his numbers to Adam Wharton as well, and I think that's very good. Interestingly enough, last weekend we spent some time on ChatGPT, and we had ChatGPT and another source. I forget what the other AI is, but basically we finally got a little bit of an answer on what goals are worth compared to other leagues. So like how much a goal in like La Liga is worth compared to the Premier League, for instance. So I don't remember now off the top of my head. I'll have to look it back up for you, and I'll show you. But when you use the Premier League as your baseline, basically, your constant, other leagues tend, I think all of them are a little less than the Premier League by just a little bit. Oddly enough, I also had it compared the Saudi League, and the Saudi League is so every one Premier League goal is worth 0.47 or 0.48 in the Saudi League. So basically, according to ChatGPT, when you ask it to look at just the level of competition and stuff, basically a goal in the Saudi League is worth half a goal in the Premier League. And that's just according to ChatGPT. I'm not saying it's science. I'm just saying that that's what it came up with after a little bit of time. I don't know where we went off on that tangent, but I wanted to make sure I threw that out there. So Bexy thinks once we get an elite left back. Yeah, I do think Dorgu he's good. I like Dorgu. He's nowhere near where he needs to be our regular starting left back week in, week out. He's definitely one that's kind of half for the future, half for the now. I think he's better than Malacia, who is like 26, by the way. People forget Malacia is pretty old. But like I said, Bexy, I've got a video coming out either today or tomorrow on a left back that I think we could get in January. That's a top left back. So keep an eye out for that one. Bexy watched some highlights from Forest. People are missing a few bits, and I looked elite at times with the forward play. Anderson and the world-class left back, yeah. We've still got work to do. And I think that like a lot of channels have talked about and like what I spoke about, it was a little bit of a reality check after those, that really good run, that we still have work to do. Not only do we still need to improve the squad in some areas, but we're still making the same mistakes. And that was one of the things that I focused on, was like, we've been playing well, but we still make a lot of the same mistakes. We can still at times get caught out a little bit, and we're vulnerable in midfield. We still have players who don't put pressure on the ball when we're defending outside the box. We are horrible defending balls into the box. There's a lot of mismatches. Like, why was Ahmad even in the box? Like, that's just doesn't make any sense to me. But so there's still a lot of the same mistakes. We still got a long way to go. But no, I totally agree, man. Speaking of signings, I saw Indy Kayla really pushing hard to stay relevant and try to, keep their name in the hat. Remember, Indy Kayla is a group of people. It's not like one person. It's a bunch of people. But they got like one thing right in the summer. David Ornstein shouted them out. But since then, it's been absolute dog shit from this source. They've claimed this week that United's owners have given the green light for a 90 million bid for, I remember it was pounds. I don't want to say it was pounds, for Carlos Baleba. Don't know. I think they're literally just banking on the fact that we reportedly made a bid in the summer. Do people still consider Indy Kayla reliable news? You guys let me know, if you guys look to Indy Kayla for reliable news. I think that if you go on Twitter and you go to their page, it's a lot of hype. It's a lot of tension building. It's a lot of just sneak peeks in this. I don't see an actual so in the last week or so, this is what Indy Kayla has reported. I'll read you. They reported that Spurs, all the players in Spurs, they want Thomas Frank gone. That was one of the things. They reported that Barcelona are going to move for Martin Odegaard this summer. They reported that Real Madrid want to get Alexis McAllister this summer. They reported that Adam Wharton wants to move to Liverpool, and they reported that Liverpool want to sign Antoine Semenyo. These are just the last 3 or 4 days worth of stuff that IndyCar has come out with, on top of the whole 90 million sanction. When are the Glazers like? Come on. I just feel like IndyCar is just throwing as much as it can against the wall in hopes something will stick. Now, I'm not. This isn't me claiming to be any sort of ITK or anything, because I don't write the news. I just read it to you guys. You get to a point, I feel like, where you can. This is why I don't listen to Fikaye's or Team Talk or Caught Offside or any of that shit, because it's just according to sources. Caught Offside understands, and I'm like, all right, moving on. I'm done with it. Give me something tangible that we can talk about, and we'll talk about it. But it's just another outlet, Kindy Kayla, who they say a lot, and then when nothing actually comes of it, they run with the line, well, things changed, or hey, it's what we were told. And it's a very easy way to just kind of remove yourself from any sort of accountability for the things that you report. If you look at Indy Kayla's following before that one thing that happened in the summer and now, that's going to tell you a lot as well. So, but it is what it is, man. But we'll check back in the summer and see if any of these other claims that Indy Kayla has been putting out. So if Odegaard goes to Barca, if McAllister goes to Real Madrid, if Wharton goes to Liverpool, if Semenyo goes to Liverpool, then I'll happily hold my hands up, take the L, and say, Indy Kayla, well done. But if those things don't happen, then I mean, I'm just saying, man. I just get tired of it sometimes, but it is what it is. Let's move on to the Cristiano Ronaldo stuff, you guys. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. I've got thoughts on this. I want to know yours as well. So this is really what I really want to know, because being a mental health professional, sometimes I see things in people, celebrities, footballers that stick out to me. And it's just because of my education and my training. It's not because I'm smart or anything. It's just these are things I interact with on a regular basis in my job that I'm in a position where I take note of it because I have to. It's just part of the job, right? I have to take mental notes of things, behaviors, personality traits, nonverbal cues, things like that, because you have to. And there are a lot of people chatting about Cristiano's latest ego massage with Piers Morgan. And all in all, in the nutshell, I'm not going to go into too many details because it just is what it is. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Cristiano Ronaldo is a narcissist. And it's textbook, plain and simple, period, narcissistic personality disorder. If I was observing the things he says and the way he behaves and the way he interacts with people, and just zoomed out the lens and looked at the criteria for narcissistic personality disorder, the criteria listed in the DSM-5, by the way, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual for everything. Whenever you go to the dentist, whenever you go to a doctor, whenever you go to a therapist, you get a diagnosis, you get a code. And if you open this up and you look at narcissistic personality disorder, you see in that orange box down there, there's a list. And that list is criteria. When you get a diagnosis, you have to meet criteria. And that's why I say textbook narcissist. He's literally ticking the boxes. Now, some people, they hear that word narcissist, and what comes to mind? You guys, you're going to think, oh, they just want attention, right? That's not really all there is to it. It's kind of like the word ego. Some people hear ego and they think certain things. Some people hear positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and they misunderstand it and they misuse it. It's normal. I did too, until I learned what these things actually mean. And then I'm like, okay, they don't mean what I say. That's just what it is. But narcissism is not just, hey, it's all about me. It's a very twisted kind of grandiose self-image worldview that just puts you at the top of everything and everybody else below you, basically. And that's just what it is. He ticks a lot of those boxes. He doesn't take criticism well. He doesn't listen to anyone's opinion. He doesn't really respect anyone who he doesn't feel like is on his level. He spends a lot of time drawing attention to himself, i.e. these interviews. He's a little bit manipulative, Very clever in the way he does it. If you look at these interviews, he's very cleverly trying to hide the fact that he's basically having his ego massage by sprinkling in these little criticisms and these little facts about United, for instance, that we already know. Complaining about the facilities, talking that the structure is not right. We already know that stuff, but he adds that in as he's talking to make it seem like he's on everyone's side and make himself look like this hero or even a martyr. If you guys remember that first Piers Morgan interview, it was like, I had to do this because I want it to be known. Like, I see right through it. I'm not buying any of it. Criticizing the club, bringing up stuff we already know to make yourself look like a hero. It's just gaslighting. It's manipulative. And there's a lot of fans that are happy to lap it up. And there's a lot of people that hear the word narcissist and they think, well, top footballers are narcissists. No, they're not. Some are, some aren't. Like, some people are, some people aren't. Narcissism it's toxic. It's dressing room cancer, narcissistic personality disorders. And so I hope people are able to see this kind of stuff, because I don't put too much attention on it, but I have to point it out because people are talking about it all over the place right now. Did you ever notice too how players who leave United keep talking about United so they can just kind of stay in the headlines? Rashford's done it, Antony's done it, Ronaldo's done it now a couple times, Garnacho's done it. Like, you have all this time to complain. You want to throw your toys out of the pram. You don't want to do this, that, or the other thing. You don't want to show up to training on time. You don't want to put in the effort. You want to give unsanctioned interviews. You want to treat the club like shit. But then the moment you leave, you're happy to start blaming the club for the reason it didn't work out. You're happy to just keep our name in your mouth so you can keep getting the headlines. You're at Barcelona. You're at Chelsea. You're playing in the Saudi League. You're at Real Betis. Stop talking about us and go do your fucking job, man. Maybe it's a winger thing. I don't know. Maybe these wingers just love to be, maybe it's that center of attention, high profile nature of being a winger. I don't know. But I think that the way we look at wingers in football, especially United, I think that there's a chance that there is this like perpetual toxic like affirmation loop for a lot of these players, especially these young players who they grow up just feeding off the excitement. You get the ball on the touchline, you get that chalk on your boots, the crowd stands up, everyone gets excited, and it's like this constant ego thing. Ego, yeah, it's another word that people I think misunderstand as well. It's not just like feeling confident and feeling good about yourself. Ego is a self-image. It's who in your mind you think you are, and everything you do and everything you think moves towards that, and you ignore anything that doesn't. That's where you get problems, is when you get conflicting information, conflicting feedback that doesn't support that. But it's frustrating to watch, like it's always United who were the problem for these guys. Like, yeah, United made you miss sitters. They made you not see your teammate who was wide open. They made you pull out of 50-50s and stuff. They made you show up late to training. They made you go out on Belfast. They made you respond to tweets from random people on Twitter in the middle of the night. Like, yeah, that's United's fault. Like, and I wish people would see through it more. And I feel like I say stuff like that and people like, they look at me like I'm this I am a grumpy old man, but at the same time, I'm like, it's absolute bullshit. This is why I seem callous about it, because I just see right through it, but it is what it is. Y'all know that, Ronaldo got expelled from school when he was 14 for throwing a chair at a teacher, right? Did you guys know that? That happened. You know why he did that? He said that she disrespected him. So he threw a chair. Like, this is another toxic sign of narcissists, like feeling disrespected, like that kind of this unstable kind of inability to handle when you don't feel like people are putting you on a pedestal, basically. Ronaldo's had issues. Not trying to define him and label him. I'm just pointing out the shit that's happened. Debasi says Pierce is an Arsenal fan. Pierce is a Ronaldo fan. He can hide it as much as he wants to, but Piers Morgan, man, I tell you, man, he just, yeah. So I don't know what you guys thought about that interview. If you have your thoughts, like, let me know in the chat. I just think it's just another example of Ronaldo just needing to feel important, needing to feel like, he's still on top of things. He scored, people are going on about the goal record. He scored over 100 goals in the Saudi League. It's the Saudi League. You say what you want about it. Some people are like, there's top players in that league. if we're going to pretend the Saudi League is anything but a sports washed retirement home where a few clubs in that league hoover up all the foreign players and the rest of the clubs are shit, like it's basically MLS. Like, let's be honest with you. It's not a good league, but I mean, you guys can do whatever you want as far as that concerns. But yeah, get your thoughts in there. We got Champions League this afternoon. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. I didn't know it was Tuesday, but yeah, Champions League coming up. There are some big matches. We've got Liverpool versus Real Madrid coming up, which is going to be so fun. Anybody doing a hate watch on that, let me know if you guys are planning that. Plus, we got PSG versus Bayern. I need to go swing over to Bill's house because Bill's got 2 TVs set up, so I don't have to pick and choose and jump back and forth. I can just have them both on there. But it could be an interesting little match coming up, so I'm excited to see what happens with that one later on today, you guys. But let me know your thoughts on the January stuff. We're talking a little bit about who could leave, who could we bring in. I want realistic ideas of what you think we could be going for, what you think we need. If you have suggestions, let me know. I'm always happy to get involved in that conversation. Like I said, I've got a left back that I think is gettable in January. That video, I'll do that. I'll record it now, and I'll put that out there as well. So, yeah, Debasi, yep, they're playing Real Madrid. It'd be interesting. I would love it. I would love for Liverpool to just get destroyed. Is it at Anfield? I can't remember now off the top of my head. Let me go check and see if it's at Anfield, you guys. Make sure you like and make sure you subscribe, please, if you guys are new. We are on the road to 3K. We'd love to get out there. Arsenal are up 1-0 against Slavia Prague, so there's that. So, yeah, it is at Anfield. So, return for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Does he even fit? I read that that his mural outside of Anfield or in Liverpool got defaced or something. So there's that. Liverpool fans, I mean, what are you going to do? Jules, big up, man. Hope you're doing well. It's all right, man. We're just wrapping up a little bit. So, but yeah, Liverpool fans, I just don't get it. They're happy for Virgil van Dijk to just turn into a merc while he's still at Southampton. But when Trent Alexander-Arnold does it, they're like, he's the worst enemy. I don't get it, dude. It's what it is. Welcome Arsenal for quad as possible. If I don't even think Arsenal are winning anything this year. Arsenal, we've seen this movie how many times before with Arsenal. And you've got content creators who are supposedly United fans who have literally been saying for the last 4 years that everyone is scared of Arsenal. This year is Arsenal year, and every single year it doesn't happen. This is like someone who plays poker and they go in all in blind on every hand or something. And then like on the 1,000th hand, they flop a straight or something. And then they're like, I'm a good poker player because I did that. Like, yeah, you say something enough, it might happen. I never worry about Arsenal, dude. I really don't. We've seen this movie time and time again with Arsenal. City are on the up now. I guarantee City are probably going to come back and edge it out just like they always do. I think Arteta's best chance was a couple years ago. I don't think it's happening, but I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. But it is a coincidence that, the year that Liverpool are having a bit of a dip and City started with a little bit of a dip, that Arsenal got, a 6-point lead. We'll see if they can maintain it, but a little bit of Champions League today. Remember, the under-21s are kicking off in about 7 minutes. It is not on MUTV, unfortunately, because we can't even just get a couple of broadcast interns and a VO camera to go out anywhere and record the game. I don't get it. You might be able to find it on YouTube or something. But if you can, let us know in the community post if you can find it someplace. Tobias says they'll bottle it. That's just what they do. That is literally what they do, man. It's just, I never worry about Arsenal. It's like, again, Arsenal are the Adama Traore of clubs. I never worry about Adama Traore. Yeah, he's fast. Yeah, he's big, but he's got no end product. He can't finish at all. So I don't worry about it. But let me know your thoughts on Ronaldo, January, Kobe, Xerxes. I want to know what you guys have to say. Again, there wasn't a lot of different things to talk about, but there was a lot to unpack with it. Do you agree with me in my assessment of Ronaldo? I know some of you are like, what is this dude on about? Again, when you're in a line of work, if you were a teacher, if you were a doctor, it's hard not to see things through that lens sometimes. And as a mental health professional, it's hard not to see things through that lens for me. And so Ronaldo's definitely lost a couple cool points for me. If I forget everything that's happened since he left United, and even when he came back, like forget all that and just focus on like the early 2000s, then I can be happy. But he lost a couple cool points. So, but we're going to see you guys on the next one. We've got Kickabout tomorrow with Dylan. We're going to be talking about 1 year of Ruben Amorim. How are we different? What have we seen that's different? Reflecting on a lot of that stuff. So be excited to get involved with that one. We'll do a preview for this Spurs match coming up later on this week as well, so keep a lookout for that. And then I've got that left back January target video coming out, so we'll do a deep dive on a left back. Again, if you've watched the channel for a while, you might have an idea who I'm talking about because I've spoken about him many times in the past when we were doing Luke Shaw replacements and whatnot. So we'll talk about him again, so we'll get that going. But take it easy, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, wherever you guys are doing, wherever you guys are watching Champions League. If you're able to do that, enjoy it. Be safe. If you can't be safe, have fun. But until then, you guys take it easy. I'll see you guys on the next one.